Sweet. So, yeah, all of those questions, curiosities, concerns about accuracy, about um, the ethical nature of it, power consumption, all very important. I asked for that to be the question that came up because I'm not an AI absolutist. I'm not going to say you're going to fire your marketer and this can do everything for you. The approach that I take is there are some important pieces of the bricks building this wall. AI is just like a little bit of the mortar in between. So when I was asked to do the AI and marketing class, um, one thing came to mind was like, because they know me as the AI guy, but uh, I spent 8 years in Silicon Valley teaching marketing automation before AI was a thing to small businesses. I worked with businesses as large as like Nike doing their marketing automation. So I learned what things work, what scales, and this is before I could just, spit into an AI, generate the HTML for all of my email flows. So what I want to share with you tonight is let's reverse those two because the course is called AI plus marketing. This is marketing plus AI. So the idea is basically everyone in this room is a business of one, or maybe they have a partner. It's not big. I'm not at the scale to hire a full-time marketing person for you. And that's just the lot of our lives as founders. We have to wear all of the hats. So, what are the simple things that we could do that would make some of those hats a little lighter? And that's my goal tonight. So, anything that I bring up in this, I did give some augmentations to the worksheet or the workbook. We'll go over a couple of things that are in the workbook. We'll go through these pieces sort of one by one that are in here. Um, but also I set all this up to share digitally. The slides will be yours at the end. They'll post them in the Facebook group. If you're on the Facebook group, I'm going to be here next week too or after class, so just come grab me. I'll send them to you via email or print them to you however you want them. This is your information. Um, any of the digital things that I show you, like here's a prompt that we're going to build together. I have that hosted online too, so you can just download it and do it. When they asked me if I wanted people to bring their laptops to this class, I was like, that is a great idea that will never work in 2 hours because everyone's going to hit some little snag and, running a workshop like that would take all day. So we're going to give you some of the framework and the ideas, and then the exercises and the take homes can help you go through this a little bit deeper. Nothing that I'm asking you to do should take you longer than like a Sunday afternoon. Sound good? Sweet. If you haven't noticed, I love talking, so interrupt me. That's what I prefer. I will try to do my best to pause sometimes, like that. So, um, who has familiarity with marketing as a funnel? Yes, yes. It's a commonly held like visualization. I don't love it, and we'll get into why. But basically, the idea of the funnel marketing is everyone outside of the funnel is people who have never heard of you before. That's kind of the role of advertising, the billboard, the thing that you see, or like maybe you go to a conference. That's what gets them into the funnel. And as they progress down the funnel, they're getting closer and closer to the bottom, which is the sale. So they become a lead, then they're a qualified lead, and then there's a sales call, and then there's the qualification of the budget, and then they make the sale. And that was sort of the end of the story for that style of marketing. But then everyone who worked in that business post sale, like the support team, like the fulfillment team, like the shipping team, all of those people felt left out. And so they wanted a funnel of their own stuck onto the bottom of it. So the sales still became like the most important fulcrum of it. And to me, that just looks too much like an hourglass. I kind of hated this visual, so I figured it was a bit of a waste of time to call it that. Because what ends up happening too is all the good work that happens at the tail end becomes a loop that feeds you back more people into the top. You could think of that as like word of mouth marketing. Your best customers are also your best salespeople. So the visualization I'm going to use that I began to draw up, wow, that was 2 weeks ago, on the whiteboard is what I call it's the marketing loop, or it's more akin to what you might have heard is called lifecycle marketing. This is complicated. So we're going to go through this together. This is the way that I view marketing. And it's these 5 distinct phases. You can think of this as like your customer or your potential customer, the person who's never heard of you before, doesn't know what you're doing, and maybe doesn't even know they have a need for what you do yet. They fit into the anonymous. Once they know who you are and they've given up some piece of identifiable or messageable information, like their cell phone number, their email address, they've logged in to make an account with you, maybe not purchased anything yet, maybe they've signed up for a newsletter, like just to hear about the next time you're going to be at an event. That's when they become known. I am explicitly taking just your social media followers and nothing else outside of that. I still kind of lump them into the anonymous side because we can't directly message them. We could DM them, but that's kind of creepy. After that, they can sit in the known bucket for a while. That's where your messaging would be like, hey, this is what we do. This is our brand story. This is why we do what we're trying to do. All this stuff is really just to get them to the point of the first time that they purchase from you. And that's why I also don't like that funnel technique, because it just means that they're only going to buy one time. What about when they become a repeat customer? What about when they're a cross sell? You have a different service that you could offer for them, or an upsell. You have a premium package. Maybe it's not just like picking up the construction site, but also power washing afterwards. That would be an upsell or a repeat customer. And then the last stage of this, because people can live as repeat customers, they can be really good customers for a long time, but when they can repeat back the value of your business better than you can, that's when they've graduated into being an evangelist. And those are the best people to have because they're your best salespeople. And that's why it's a loop. It feeds everyone back. It gives you the social proof, the Google reviews, the Yelp reviews, even like the likes, follows, reshares, whatever, to broaden your scope. I'm not saying you're firing your marketing team, but I am going to say those people make ridiculously good marketers. You give them the best treatment. Now, those are the bricks, right? The mortar in between are just like the little things that an automation or an AI can help you with. And just to be clear, an AI, I'm really just saying whenever it has to read something, understand something, or write something. If it's just a strict script, it just needs to do something like move data from one system, like your point of sale system, over into your marketing email system. That's not an AI, that's just an automation, but it can be one of these arrows. So this can get complicated, but this is what's on the second page of the augmented handout. Sorry for the toner cartridge, by the way. These, if you want to print one of your own, they're downloadable. I'll share after class. Now, a quick exercise to do, and this will be helpful later. You don't have to fill all of this out right now. In fact, some of these you're not gonna know. You just may not, because you may not have had somebody travel that whole way with you yet. But the first one to think about and to kind of mull over is the anonymous. Like, where do these people live? And I don't mean like, are they here? They could be here in Stillwater. If you want to think about like, well, where would like a boba enthusiast be as an anonymous person? They could be on social media. They could be on TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram. They could also just be like at the Wes Watkins Center. They could be at an event that they like boba and it's oriented around people who kind of like boba, like Comic-Con that we have here. I would say there's going to be a cross section of people there that also like boba. Or it could be, true crime podcast convention might be a place that your anonymous people might be, as an example for like a private detective. But yeah, so I would just kind of write that down. Just get a quick sense of where these people are. When they do convert, think about the digital footprint. What is the piece of data that got them to convert? Is it their email address? Is it their business card that you got? Where does that now live? Again, where does it live? And the point of all of this is to start to map out your digital tech stack, because that's going to be one of the arrows. Is the information from one flowing to the other one in the right way? And then once it gets there, the AI that can help you out is, are we able to message them in the right way? The things that an AI can help you do with writing, say like a proposal for like a speaking gig at a conference or a social media post, so you can gather more anons into knowns, is going to be different than the one that's going to help you to write email, which needs to be in an archaic programming language called HTML. So this is a good way to kind of get a lay of the land of where does your audience live in each place, because that's where you're going to need to be interacting with them on. The goal for each of those should be kind of clear, like, what is it you want? Is it that you want them to get from anonymous to known? What do I want them to do? I want them to download a white paper. I want them to, like, that's where I would get that email from. That's where they give it to me. Or I want them to to fill out a Facebook form, or I want them to sign up for an online class, or whatever. And then like what is the actual action they take that moves them from anonymous to known? So moving them, actually this should say moves them down on the handout, but like, yeah, moves them along the path. And then what I'm not showing here is what happens if they don't do anything in that path. Like, you want them to become like a repeat customer, but at the end of the day, they're just not buying anything extra or doing anything more. What happens then? Like, the easiest answer for all of that is you knock them into what I'll call nurture. It's pretty much just like a soft once every 4 or 5 weeks message nudge that you send them. It's kind of like, that billboard that you pass by, not on every drive, but it's the one that kind of keeps you in the back of their mind. Yes, hey, it's Ted. Perfect. Yeah. And those they don't need to be, they're not going to be like your swings out of the park, but they're going to be like enough little bit of value that they keep you in mind. Messages like that don't usually get unsubscribed from. They're just keeping you present. Cool. Quick agenda, what you walk out of here with, and the brand kit is the first page of the exercise. You walk out of here with the brand kit, a tool that you can use within every step of that journey, so that when you want to write a AI prompt, you just tack that along with it, and it will know your whole system in and out. Like, yeah, we'll get into that later. We're going to talk a lot about social media posting. There are definitely some use cases in this room that are not on social media. That's fine, but I'm going to give some statistics as to why it might be something you would consider. And then I'm going to help you, if you have a digital presence like a website, how to make sure that you're able to get found not just by humans, but by robots. And also help you send the right email at the right time, and then turn your customers into your next customers. I just have a little trick that I think is really clever, and I've seen it help a lot of businesses. So cool. Next up, I'm going to pause for a second. This is a big honker section. Questions? There are no dumb questions. Sweet. Show of hands, who has a website? Bought one. Bought. Okay, and that's good showing. Okay. Well, there's a tech piece. We can totally talk about that. But okay, yeah. So has a website. What questions did anyone have? Anyone feel like they don't fit into this mold like at all in the ways? Yeah. and maybe it's not customers, it's donors. Yeah. Or like, mm-hmm, early. So they might follow a similar. So frame it into that way. Or the really complicated one I could think of is like a two-sided marketplace. Like I have both people who need to go into who have their goods in their vendors that go into the orange door. They have their own track versus the customers of the orange door, which is super different. Like which is an e-commerce side of things. So sweet. Okay. Cool. And if you have multiple businesses that you're running or multiple frameworks, you can have multiple of these. Just make a copy of it and think it through. Maybe prioritize. We'll get into a prioritization metric later. Cool. Now, your sidekick, along with all of this, is going to be an AI. Again, it's not going to take over everything, but this is a way to just kind of give yourself like a little extra muscle so that all these hats feel a little less heavy. And I'm highlighting here. This will be like a breadcrumb that you're going to see throughout it. So when we're highlighting different portions of that flow, it'll be shown in the top right. Cool. The fact is, so I got the survey results back for like how comfortable is everyone in this room with AI, and it ranged from 2 to 10. So there is some table stake stuff we just got to clear up. If you're on the 10 on that list, this might be a refresher, and we're going to get into it anyways. So if you're using, raise your hand if you feel like you're using AI basically like you would Google. Yeah, that is, I would say 40% of the room at least is doing that. Not from the survey results, just my own understanding of humanity and how we use new things. We tend to replace it. But if you think about it, all of these things, these search algorithms, we've had them for a long time. I think about the Dewey Decimal System. When I used this analogy the first time, my mom was like, "What the hell are you talking about?" I was like, "Well, no, because who remembers the Dewey Decimal System?" Yes, and it is a decimal system. It is to help you search for a reference material in a library, and there's a system. That's why it's called a system to it, and you know how to do it. There was like a number at the beginning that said it was a fiction or nonfiction. Clearly, I don't remember this, but I was there like, well, how do you use the Dewey Decimal System wrong? And I was like, you go in one and dial through all of them at the same time. It's incredibly inefficient to do it that way, other than knowing the card catalog is set up in this way. This is the right way to use it. So prompting, since most of the AIs that we are using right now are chatbots, there's a right way and a wrong way to get the information out of them. These are the 5 components of what makes a good prompt. If you're trying to write notes down, it's the first page of what was already in your packets. I have a prettier version on my website I can send to y'all, but this one you just cut off the bottom piece of the page, tape it underneath your monitor. That's where mine lives. But it kind of breaks down for you what the different components are. And we'll talk about each of them quickly. So I would say starting with role, that's usually where I start my prompts, is I tell it who it's going to be for me. You're my social media manager. You're my best friend giving me some tough love. Or like, yeah, like this works. It used to be it mattered if you said with X number of years experience. That doesn't matter anymore. But if you tell it like, think about it from this context, or like, sorry, that's the wrong word, but you're doing this role for me. Don't use it as a lawyer or a doctor or a therapist. Like it can be a best friend, but don't use it as a therapist. But yeah, you give it the role it's going to perform for you. And it's also good to give it its tasks. You are going to write a social media post for me. And then context is one of the most important pieces. We're going to build an important piece of context for it. Think of it like the user's manual to your vehicle, the help documentation for whatever system you're trying to set up, the like employee manual on the first day of work. Hopefully you got one of those and you were kind of given the rules of the road a little bit. But whatever thing you need to give it, when I'm giving it context and I want it to use my website, my voice, my brand, a lot of times I just type in the URL, because anytime you feed an AI a website or a URL, it like just cannot help but to go look at it. And that's important for how we talk about it later. But the last four or the last two tend to get forgotten, but it's how do you want this to come out for you? So, and these things can really take you from this kind of came out as garbage, it seemed to be hallucinating, or it's not very accurate, to format. Like, I want it to come back as a spreadsheet. When you're done, double check your work. Bring me actual verified sources. Once you've given me those sources, go actually search at the page that you told me was a source. Does it exist? These things become less and less necessary, but these are the things we used to have to do to like make sure that it was working correctly. And then the constraints, boundaries, things that should never say. One of the ones that I have is especially if I'm setting something up that I'm starting to hand the reins over a little bit more to an AI to do, like draft follow-ups on emails. It's like never, mirror empathetically their emotional state, but never lean into gossip or bigotry. Like, those are two pieces that I'm just like, if that's coming up, flag it for me immediately. Those are just the constraints that I will tack into mine. So, yeah. You don't have to use all 5 every time. Yes, Carrie. Yeah. Yes. Yep. Yeah, that's under the constraints, but yes. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt you. Okay. I do. I regularly add don't assume, comma, ask me questions. Or simple and elegant is better than over engineered. And like, those are just like little nudges that I can give it. But great question. Yikes. I did my best to have clicker. None of them work. So just quick highlighted example, garbage in is garbage out. I write a social media caption for my plumbing business. Terrible. Versus, and I had them color coded to which ones are which parts. So context, Stillwater Plumbing Company. Better prompt, you get a better output. Sweet. Cool. This is a pro tip. If you're staring at a blank page, it is so much easier to critique than create. This is something I do all the time. Jamie saw me do it. I said, I'm not going to do the best practices because we're running hot and we want to like get this out quick. So I'll just turn the microphone on and barf a bunch of words to it, like just mind dump into it, and but still give it like you are a prompt writing pro. Give me the prompt to do this thing. And also you'll say, like, let me know what I need to tell you to make this much better. So writing a prompt or having an AI write a prompt for you is just really helpful. And then you'll see it run through those same things too. So don't create, critique. Next up, yeah, never start from scratch. If you're doing something that you notice, who here saves their prompts once they're done? Okay. Or goes back to the same chat that you got a really, really good answer out of and tries to get it to do it again. I do that too. I have a trick and we'll go through it really quick, but I use Notion as my note-taking tool, but like, it can be notes, it can be Google Docs, it can be whatever your text-based place is that you like to store things, wherever you go most frequently to find your grocery list. Save your prompts there. And then the next time you need to go do the same thing, if you're doing it more than twice a week, you need to start creating your own prompt database. You'll get better with time because you'll be writing them better. And people share these. If you're missing inspiration, Reddit shares a lot of good prompts. Cool. Sweet. So your brand kit. This is going to be one of the more reusable pieces that we're going to be able to create. So I gave y'all, and you can who's begun filling this out? I didn't ask you to, so got some overachievers. Um, you've probably written some of this out already for um, for the other class we did. For sales, they've got like your ideal customer, things that it maybe doesn't have. If you're missing on like what your voice is, you can point it at your website and it should be able to tell based on how you wrote your website's copy, or give it some screenshots of your social media posts if you've made them already and have it create your brand voice. Um, Basically, it's what we're trying to get it to do is give us like in one breath what your business is, who it's for, the voice. I really like having it have a collection of all of my offerings, my price sheet, my social media channel, like the channels that I use. So that could be like maybe it's a brochure that if you have as a leave behind, or a TikTok account that you're trying to get cranked up, or like YouTube. But it knows every place that I post online and whether I own that channel or if it's a borrowed channel, because the framing is different. And I'm going to use that piece later. But this is basically what a social media marketer would have in their back pocket is, well, if I'm going to write a post for it, I need to remember, are they playful or are they serious? That's part of the voice. Okay, who am I writing it for? Who's the audience? These are the things that a marketer is going to ask for. Where is it going to get posted? What is the call to action or the link that we need to share with it? And anything that I need to like redline at the very, very end. If this looks a little overwhelming to write down all this stuff right now, I set up a prompt that you can just copy and paste in. I'll show you how to do it right now. Um, but basically, demo one. So brand kit. Um, so I have, this is the prompt. That's the template. So I have the QR code that I put up there, and it's also the same QR code that's in your sheets, is this prompt, which if I drop it into Claude and I'll just say new chat, paste that, and then the template is also hosted there. If I dropped in as an asset, so that little piece right there, and sorry, this is all like that. What it'll do is it'll walk you through all of that as a conversation. So again, you can just hit the microphone button and ramble if you wanted to. The microphone button down there, and yep, got it. Here's the rules I'm following. So section one in one breath, what you do, a couple things to check, blah, blah, blah. Oh, feel accurate in your own voice, yeah. Oh, it's because I did this earlier, so it already has that within memory, but it'll do it with yours. It'll pull your website, it'll get your brand colors so that the assets that it produces later will have the same stuff. But it's meant to be a conversation before any of those pieces that I mentioned in here are like locked in. It's going to confirm it with you. But the goal is at the very end of it, it gives you that digital brand kit that you can either tack in, like I did up here, to any conversation and say, use my brand kit. Help me write the social media post. Or I'm trying to think of like, you know, different marketing strategies I could use. It just always has that available to it. You can add to it over time. This is one of those things you copy paste and keep. Sweet. Before I get to the next piece, who here is using projects? Okay. Sweet. We're going to get into a project in a moment. Spoilers, I have a project that I use for, call it my content guru. And it has all, I did a test of this earlier today to make sure it would work. But let's just go ahead and get that image and drop it in there, because we're going to need that in a minute. I'm so glad that actually came through with the Wi-Fi. And I'll show you how drop dead simple some of this stuff it can become. But first, let's get back into, so brand kit. Brand kit is an asset that you can take with you to do a lot of the to basically augment you. It's kind of like your social media manager, whoever is sitting next to you the whole time. So yeah, and then cool. Sweet. Next up, I feel like some people are going to cringe when I talk about social media. Personally, I don't like being on it either. I'm currently rebuilding my Facebook friend count from 0 because I deleted it a couple years ago in a fit of rage. So every friend that I have now is from that original wipeout. No one from high school knows I exist anymore. But 50, these are real numbers that I had verified. 58% of new businesses are discovered on social media. Facebook is the leader, but TikTok and Reels hit for the younger audiences. If your business is serving one of those groups, that's a way. And if it's not, what we talked about earlier was people are using AI like Google. What do you Google for? Where's a good pizza place in town? So I wouldn't have brought this up if this was last year because it was 6% said that they were getting business recommendations through AI. It's up to 45%. That's bananas in 1 year. And a lot of people are saying that AI is giving them better answers than Google will. It does. Said in the class. You heard it here first. And I'm going to be just like man behind the curtain on this. As I was doing the research for this, I noticed never did the numbers actually add up to 100. They were always way the heck above 100 because it's like TikTok accounts for 86% or like, and then Facebook is also, 52%. Like we're getting to 200% really quickly. The reason is it's kind of like, the advertisements that you drive by. It's just that it normally there's a marketing like idea that it takes like 20 instances of seeing something before the next action is going to take place. That's why these little things of like being relevant and being top of mind, even for like the dumbest things or what you might consider dumb, are useful. Think about when if you've ever had to buy an HVAC system, I feel like those are the billboard signs I see the most. And yes, I called the billboard HVAC company first because I'd seen it on my commute every day for 10 years. It worked. But it was probably the Facebook ad that I actually clicked on, talked to them. I didn't pull it off of the billboard. They would have never known if it was the billboard. So this is all to point out the next two things we're going to get into. How do we try to capture some of that social side? How do we capture some of the AI side? Who likes posting on social media for their business? One person. We knew it was going to be you, Olimar. You have like the Riz for the entire class. I hope that this helps to break it down and make it a little more simple what you should be posting where. So you've probably written down, you could probably mostly like think about your age group. I figured out in this town, I started by posting on LinkedIn. That's all of my and I'm like, I've got like 3,000 contacts in LinkedIn. I'm going to win at this. It's all SaaS companies. They're all in the Bay Area. These are like my peers, right? They're not my customers per se. And they're not going to buy from me for sure because they still work at, some tech startup, whatever. But I've started to figure out my customers, my audience is actually in Facebook in this town. So that's why I started going there. So then the next piece was like, what the hell do I post? And I mulled it over for a long time. And I did some looking around. And what I came up with, there's this principle of like the 4 Ps, like the person, the process, the product, the people, like, the story, the whole story. I feel like that fits into this section over here. For the folks that are in this room, chances are you're looking to get more people to discover you. If you're still a small business, if you're sitting pretty and you're fat and happy and you don't need any new customers, sweet, congratulations. This may not be the section for you. But I think the way that you approach this is about half of what you're posting is just things that the audience that you have would like. And I don't mean like about you. They don't know you. They haven't figured you out yet. But what stops the scroll, and I don't mean going viral, I just mean like kind of gets a little bit of their attention. I saw this one post and I laughed out loud and I had to show it to my dad because it's so dumb. But it's just like, older man walking through an office, and he's just like, don't let your coworkers ruin your day, ruin theirs. And then he like rips a piece of paper in half that they're asking him to sign and just goes, screw it, I'm going to Hooters. And I just laugh. And it's like, it's so dumb, right? But I'm like, you could take, there's people that could just take that and adopt it to their business, right? It could just be like, people love time lapses, people love before and afters. And so if it's like cleaning up a really messy site, or like a really satisfying stained glass like break, like whenever you're like building your art, those are super interesting for people, and they will stop the show. If you are not finding inspiration, just take Melissa from Whisper's word on it. Follow creators you like, follow people that have similar businesses to you. The the pool or the ocean is big. There's not that many big enough fish in it for them to even care. Great artists steal. So that's what like half of your posts can be. The next half are going to be split up between about 4 of those 10 posts are about your process, maybe somebody in the staff, maybe like a customer case study. You're not asking them for anything. You're just sharing them more so that you can begin to earn their trust and to possibly earn their business. And then the last, only 1 in 5 is the actual ask. I'm going to be at this thing coming up, come find me, or download this white paper, or book a meeting with me. That's it. Very sparse. People get turned off. It seems needy. So that's how I break it down. Who feels fine about posting 10 times per week? Maybe I'll reverse that. Who feels overwhelmed by having to post 10 times a week? That's kind of what I expected. So I want to show you another thing that I set up. Let's take that brand and that brand folder and like let's actually use it. So I have this, and I'm sharing all of this with all of y'all, set up with my brand kit. You can see here, and I also have a platform playbook. So what that means is it knows I've trained it. It's another artifact that says on LinkedIn it cares about hashtags, but on Facebook it doesn't care about hashtags. Or when it's a borrowed channel, like when I'm posting meal preps, just a random thing I also do, or like, in the AI community, I can't post links to my stuff. It's just to get people to follow me. So it can't have URLs in my posts or I'll get banned from there. So these are like little playbook things. And like I said, another prompt that I'm giving you that you can go through, talk about all the channels you have, and it'll research what the best things to post are, what the character limits are, do emojis matter, whatever. And then you post into this project too. This is a project, I forgot I didn't tell you that, on Claude and also on ChatGPT. It's just listed up at the top left here, projects. The difference between a chat and a project can store instructions. It has its own siloed memory, so it only remembers the conversations from in here. And you can add additional context to it as well. So in this one, I would say, oops, didn't mean caps, but it won't care. Write a social, and I'm going to do this intentionally terrible. Um, yeah, sure. So, and just in case this just borks it, because that is a really bad prompt, I cooked one up earlier too. SBO cooks, yeah. But the idea is it's going to go through and read the context within it, compare it to my writing style, all that stuff. This is taking longer than I expected, so I am going to just jump over to the other one. But basically, it now gives me what I copy. So that picture is all I need, right? I just post the picture, and now it's giving me for my personal LinkedIn, for my personal Facebook, for my the Facebook group that I have, and then I also asked it like, hey, let me get some legs on this. Like, I want to have more posts than just that. Because if you're going in and you're posting it, it also tells me when I should schedule this for. Because all of the things you could be posting your social media on, you don't have to post it that second. You can schedule it out. So um, that's that bit. Now I want to just jump to the next piece because this is really important. That's one post. But here's like a really key takeaway that turns God, 10 posts a week sounds terrible. I don't want to do that. Number one lesson to learn, reuse your bangers. If you are going to put together a really good post, like this is going to be a good post for me to put in there, right? Like it's thought leadership. It hits one of my pillars. It shows like me in action. I'm not just going to post this once and forget about it. I'm going to schedule this sucker out to be posted today, and then a month from now, and then 3 months from now, and then 6 months from now. It's going to get a lot of legs. But I also have that prompt set up so that when I schedule all of those tonight, it's setting all those up with different descriptions so the algorithm treats it differently. AIs are good at reading text. They're not great at reading images. That takes more work. So it doesn't think about looking at what's in the picture. Some will do it, like if it's for fraud or like other things, but yeah, it's just going to read the text. It's going to think it's a unique post and could still promote it just as well, just as long as the text is different. And then think about your follower count. This is not what mine looks like. It's not this straight up. But if you posted that here and then you gained another like 400 followers in the next couple months, who the heck actually saw that? If that's the best post you ever made, only like 10% are going to see that anyways. They sort of expire in about 3 days. And so everyone that you post here, sure, are some of them going to see it again? Yeah. Are they going to care? No. Are they going to remember? Probably not. Social media is where you forget really quickly. So if you're not reposting your best posts, you're making it a lot harder for yourself. That's why it feels like a treadmill. So I'm just saying, is it giveaway? Then that would still go back to the rule, the 1 in 10 rule. And that makes sense, right? It is giving that value, but you gotta like make them work for it a little bit. I would say if you're seeing that it's the giveaway that's the most, maybe teasers to the giveaway are the things that you want to be putting up. Or the giveaway, you're only eligible if you repost this, invite a friend via message, and do this other thing. I got that from, I can find that. The Still Connected podcast did that once and I got a free hat out of it, but you bet your ass I jumped through every hoop they asked me to do. Because I freaking love free stuff, especially swag. And I've worn that hat maybe 5 times. So, but yeah, give them some more. Those are people that you could start also asking, like, hey, like, yeah, repost my shit because that opens it up to their broader group. But yeah, I would say make them work for it a little bit more. Other questions?
That when I ask that, you say you can post. Sometimes it gets too overbearing.
Mm-hmm.
Here is still it's more like a now.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna be there.
I'll be there.
Yeah, he's gonna. So I put that this basic picture of basically that is the price of moving so that I see once I reach about 500 views or 1,000 views or whatever like on TikTok,
Mm-hmm.
then within that time you can that another
Mm-hmm.
on another
Mm-hmm.
not be my business one, but then we another month or whatever time frame that I might have it, slowly but surely the first post only month the other one that traction, but they always first
Mm-hmm.
army food or
Yeah.
you can be more the more you do it something
So uh,
See it here and there, like a homework. But 30 miles and try to see what things go for.
I want to summarize some of that. The first post is the anchor post. Everything after that can be reposting of that post. That's kind of making it the canonical destination for everything, which raises the visibility of that original post as well. And you're doing this and spending any money on ads, bingo. I'm trying to tell you ways that you don't spend any money on ads. So, yes. Mm-hmm.
And I got full class competency my projects, but I just have lots of items in there I go back to, but
Ooh. Yeah. So there was a prompt I knew a while back, and it changes occasionally, but you can ask it for all of its recorded memories in like a certain format. But I can share that in the Facebook group. Yeah, I, I have a different thing that I should make a how-to video on. I call Open Brain, where it doesn't matter if it's a conversation in ChatGPT or Claude or in Canva AI or any of those places. It logs all the memories to the same database and can pull them from that database. So I use it. It's called Supabase, but it's any database that's hosted can do this. That is a huge tangent and a super advanced topic, but I found a way to jailbreak out of the walled gardens that these companies try to get you into. Cool. All right. This is going to be brief. The whole summary on this. So, all right. We talked about how are humans finding you, now are the robots finding you, since 46% of people are finding businesses using AI nowadays. What are the important things? The key takeaway here is it readable to an AI? I said it earlier, AIs are so quick to read text, less so HTML code. It's starting to bias and prefer plain text. So that doesn't mean make your whole website look like garbage and just be like a long newspaper looking thing. No, there are uh, files within the website that you can post that are just text files. The most common one referred to as the LLMS file, so the large language model, plural text file. But that's basically just giving it a sitemap. What do you do? It's like the most important things about you, the site, the business, all that stuff, all baked into one file. So it can read it, understand it quickly. Another thing that I see happening a lot, I actually did this for Trish Ranson. Her office is next to mine. And I was just curious. A lot of her really good stuff is in images. And AI doesn't read an image very well, but it can read the alternate text to an image. So when you hover over an image and it says like, me with my dog or whatever, it will read that. But yeah, a lot of her campaign stuff was in that, like her accomplishments, her voting record were all images. And I was like, so an AI can't read that. I mean, it will eventually, but it's just not going to be as referenceable. So yeah, that's where a lot of it gets shoved is a .txt file. Do you have case studies? Are they readable, or is it just like a picture of a happy customer, or does it actually have their faces? It will also check for social proof on other places that your website is, like your Google business profile, your Yelp profile. I'm on Apple Maps as well, and it will check that. And it will check, this is crazy, logical fallacies between those different places. So if one place you have your menu posted and it's out of date versus another place, it will care that that's the case. It will care if my services offering is different from my Google profile, my Google business profile versus what's on my website. That includes the pricing as well. I could just not list my pricing and it would care less. But like, yeah, so those logical fallacies are an issue for it as well. It's going to start to say like, can I trust this? It's like when we say verify the source. Well, if it's going back and it's trying to verify this now, it's just going to get angry with it. So, cool. This is all to say, I wrote a script that's not a script, it's a prompt that's an audit. You plug in your website and it's going to give you an entire report card and it's going to give it to you in a priority order of fixing it. Cool. Rather than like me going through all of that exercise, I just figured that's what you want to do. By the way, any of these things that I'm saying, I made a thing. Go use it when it breaks, because things happen. Just text me. You guys have my info, and Jamie will tell you. I'm down to help from prompts to cats. Okay, bro, come on. Like, I'm glad your cat is back. I can't take any of the credit. I did not help find this cat. Yes. No, it was Copilot. Can you believe it? Cat Pilot now. Okay, Copilot is the Microsoft one that's given to all the students and they complain about it because it was terrible. It still is pretty terrible, but Microsoft is making Mia as their new one. But I know. All right. So now we're in the middle. We went from anonymous to known to now known to repeat business. I'm only leaving off evangelist because there's just one trick I want to share at the end that I think is useful for them. So who knows what the term CRM stands for? Okay, customer relationship management system. Salesforce is like the most widely known one, but it could also be like Clover, your point of sale system, or if you're taking payments on PayPal, Shopify, if you have an online store. At the end of the day, it's wherever your customers live once they go into being known. That's usually their email. The reason why we're talking about email, I worked in the field for a long time. Every year, it was like every summer they'd say email's back. Every winter they'd say email's dead for like 8 years. And the thing is, it makes like no sense that we're still using it the way that we're using it, but it's freaking cheap. It's basically free. If you're running a Shopify store, you get email automations out the gate. I'm using a tool called Go High Level. It's useful for like contractors and tradespeople. It's a very lightweight customer relationship management system. It has email automation baked into it. So the ROI is there. You pay basically nothing for it. And it's that like driving by the billboard, but in your pocket all the time. So they see your brand, your logo, your value, what you're offering, all that stuff in a semi-regular basis. One thing I will say, don't email more frequently than like, God, at this point, it's like less than 9 days. Don't put anyone faster than that because then you're risking getting into the annoyance level. Kelsey, I see you smiling like, yep, you're doing more often. It's okay. Okay, cool. So within this, so those arrows that we were talking about, now that they're known, we want to get them to become a first customer. Each of these are basically what I'm going to call flows. A flow, it does not have to be linear, but y'all are just setting this stuff up for the first time. So think about a 5 to 6 message cadence. So you send the first message, so they just signed up. It's the first time you've got their information. So probably the first message you want to say, welcome. That's it. This is who we are. This is why I started this business. Thanks for joining. Adios, bye. You're not asking for anything. Just give them a little bit of your story. And then I say, wait 2 weeks. That's it. Like simple as that. The next one, hey, did you notice that we like also do this thing? Would you like, you don't need, it's like a soft nudge. You're usually providing some value. Like a lot of the people who buy our product usually say this about it, but I'm not asking you to buy anything. And I'm also not giving that like giveaway until like email 5 or 6, because all this time I have only one goal, like not really hard pressing them for it, but the call to action in the email. The goal of this whole flow is to get them to eventually become my first customer, since that's where we live on this automation. And the call to action is literally just come back to the website, come check some stuff out. It's not until I get to like emails 5 or 6 that I'm starting to go, hey, we have a seasonal sale coming up. This is 10% off for your first order. And that's it. I don't put the sales or the discounts up front. I wait until the very, very end because there's going to be plenty of people who drop off. You can put logic in all these tools to say if they open the last email, if they click the last email, if they bought from you already, exit them out of this flow and then move them into your first time customer to repeat buyer flow. This is why this page exists, is because you're trying to think through what's the goal, how do they get there, like what action do they take to get them there, and then each of these boxes you're basically going to make a different. It's going to look like a flow chart of email, wait, check to see if they did the action, email, wait, check to see if they did the action, and you're going to have one of those for known to first time buyer to repeat buyer to evangelist. I call those the happy path. If they drop out, they don't accomplish what you want them to, going from known to first time buyer or from first time buyer to repeat buyer. All you do is you don't graduate them to the next flow. Now you just kick them into nurture. And nurture is the one place where they're just kind of getting the seasonal updates. I've got a whole list as the very back piece of ideas of emails that you can send that are pretty much just like little nudges and ticklers. Cool. Let's see, every email has a moment in the loop. Yeah, this is kind of what I said. So seasonal ideas, bring past customers back on a schedule before something breaks. Honestly, there is always a holiday coming up. You can do a holiday email. I don't care if you're what business you have. There's usually some way to relate it. This is a perfect example of that brand kit plus a little nudge of like, you're my email marketing guru. I am trying to make a 5 to 6 email thread to get a known user to a first time buyer, or like to nurture users. Give me a seasonal flow, or like give me one message I could send per month related to some holiday. This is where the creativity of, it's like neutral creativity. It's like just better than um uh you're just trying not to spend your creative juices on writing an email. So that's where I'm like, this is a good sidekick. It's why it's not the main superhero. Just ask an AI to help you come up with some of these nurturing messages. Cool. If you don't want to do that, I created, this is also online, it's free. And oh, what was that? I'm trying to think of like, I think that's the flooring company. Basically, you type in your website and it will read the website, it'll read your brand, it'll get your colors, it'll do all the stuff that we talked about that are in your brand kit, and it'll spit out a handful of emails for you. And then if it, this should just give you some inspiration. Yeah, flowmint.me. It's so that you can send the right message at the right moment. Flowmint. I know. So yeah, it pulled out Precision Flooring. It understood their brand, their colors. It got images from their site, and then it creates like, oh, welcome series, a cart abandonment, a checkout abandonment. It's going to ask you to sign up for a it's like I said, free. Sign up for an account in it, but then you'll also see the email marketing structure of the Flowmint app. But no, I'm not charging anything for this because it has 0 users. I don't want to pay for advertising, but it will write all this stuff. It'll put it in these like little curly braces, which basically swaps that field out for the customer or the company name, their first name. These are called dynamic fields. But yeah, and it does more than just those 4 flows. It does, yeah. So, and it's linked in the stuff that I give you. If it's like write my whole campaign, it'll write the entire series. You can shoot it over to your CRM. Basically, try this, get a little bit of inspiration. If you have questions about it, you want like these emails put anywhere, like I said, I'm not charging y'all anything for this. It's just tell me if it worked for you or not. But yeah, feel free to use that too. Cool. Yeah, 6 different flows. They're separated by industry type. I'm going to be honest, I'm not covering all the industries that are in this room. So if I'm missing yours, I can definitely crank on that and produce that for you. It might just be the ideas, and then we can work on the prompts. So that if you want a really pretty email like that, where it's designed in HTML, I can help you set that up. Cool. Sweet. Last thing, who here has, okay, who's completed an entire sales cycle with their customer? Everyone, probably close, yeah. Has anyone asked for a review? Yes, yes. You like cringed a little bit. Yeah,
Someone just told me that I should.
you should. So I have a way to make it feel a little less awkward because it does. I don't know. I cringed the first time I did it too. It felt needy. Um, well, yeah. I have testimonials on my page. So I'll just show you. And this was just part of my first few like times that I was like, hey, you're gonna get a discounted price, but I want a testimonial at the end. And normally I just like write the review for them and then say put it in their own words. And then 9 times out of 10, they just do what I said. It's crazy. Um, but yeah, like another testimonial, other two testimonials. These all just were the ones when I was getting started. But it was literally like, and all three of these are case studies. So they can be on your website. This is good social proof. But if we're thinking about what feeds the machine back into the anonymous, where those really should be living is your Google page, your Yelp, wherever the anonymous people find you. If you're purely social media, which I think that that's kind of your game, or what I would be running it as, uh, having them take a picture and tag you in it. A picture of that product and tagging you is just as good. So this is my trick. Mm-hmm. All right. From the sales conversation, getting yeses. You get little micro yeses along the way. You can get a bigger yes at the end. So, how did you like it? Was it good? If they say it sucked, well, you didn't just out the gate ask, would you give me a review on that? Because you might have just avoided a 1-star review. So you ask, how did it go? Or did you enjoy it? If they're emphatic about it and you say, that's great, I would really appreciate a review. I'm not asking for reviews. I'd appreciate a review. It's their choice. Or like, if you like, can I post you in that? Yes, you have a question.
Every now and this is a fantastic product. Oh, this really helps my child. Oh, this is really beneficial. When I hear those, that triggers to me, oh, hey, mine. So you know, like a Google review? I'm a call people who are telling me that they like our product and they want to be supportive of me. Yeah. I'm trying to express like I would like to. So that's been very.
Yes. Yeah.
Why we don't think anybody years and you want to
Yeah.
our yeah, phrase it. Make people better asking for it, phrasing it as like, you know, that word mouth industry. Yeah. Like talk photos, sharing photos. I think it's like it's now okay. Like even though we don't feel like it would do it.
And it could be times, or it could be, I know I have a hang up of asking people's help, especially friends or people who know me, because I have a persona of being independent, and it would be antithetical to that to ask for someone's help. And that sucks, being a business owner and thinking I can do this on my own, but then having to ask for help. And the cognitive dissonance definitely has kept me up at night. But something that has also helped is your friends and family do love you and want to support you, and a way that they can give you those reviews authentically. Because I don't want my mom's face on my website saying Logan's just the best. He's he is so nice with computers, and he helped me with my iPhone. That's like the worst review. But one thing that she can do is reshare, like, comment. And I don't mean my mom. I don't want my mom doing that either. But your friends would totally do that for you. I think everyone in this room would probably do that for the other person in this room. And is it going to make a huge difference? Like, so it's going to make a difference. It's going to make a difference for that person. And it's probably this other difference is going to make is show them it's okay to ask for help in the thing that they're doing. So, and to get some support from the people that are around them. So, that'd be helpful. Cool. Thanks, friends.
Yeah, because I
We are going to get into like the fifth act of this. So we kind of covered the framework. We talked about 3 different applications of marketing and AI. And now I just kind of want to go through some of the tail end stuff. Like, don't fire your social media manager to just only use this. This is not magic. It is a tool. It's continuing to evolve. It's powerful, but AIs are like really eager interns. They are tireless, and they'll get your coffee. They'll do anything you say to them, but they're often wrong. They're confidently wrong. And so you need to be like, don't take the human out of the loop. It is have it draft an email, you hit send. Um, don't I think authenticity in your social media, a crappy, like shaky from your cell phone video is 1,000 times better than an AI generated image. I don't know if y'all know, and I wouldn't have said this a year ago, but it's got the ick now. People see an AI generated image, they hate it. And so I wouldn't recommend doing that. And look, if you want to have a curated, like, good piece of, like, say, video content or photo shoot, I'm sure that there are people in this room that would help you out with that. And I would say, yeah, if you put that budget onto like something that's going to get you discovered, get a lot of mileage out of it too. Um, One thing I thought about giving out as swag would be like an opposable 6th finger that you could wear in any group photo, so that you could always claim that you weren't actually in that photo is clearly AI generated. But I was told we couldn't give out giveaways. There. Just don't. Yes, exploit her weaknesses. We're not getting into that right now. Okay. Things that I don't personally automate. Just again, I'm not an AI absolutist. I have had people ask me if I can help them to get an AI chatbot to do voice calls for them instead of prospecting. That cringe is real. And it's because it still has that uncanny valley where it's like it thinks it's interrupting you, and so it pauses a bit. It doesn't feel like a real person. And even that, like, you've heard it when you're calling, everyone associates it with like internet, like your internet service provider's helpline, which is where good calls go to die. So don't use it. It's already associated with something that people hate. And so you can have it mimic your voice, but still, like, that, if you're having it do that, that's probably a conversation you should be having, either because it's building a relationship that's part of your brand. Those early calls are opportunities to connect with your customers, to understand what's working in your pitch or what's not working. If you just need focus time and you can't answer the call constantly, this is an opportunity for you to set boundaries with you and work you. And that can include putting it on do not disturb when you need to focus, or putting it into a different room to go to sleep at night. If your job is taking up that much of your attention, it's time for you to have you're in a toxic relationship with your job, and you should probably work on that. The second piece is it can't make up for hard conversations. I will have a conversation with AI and say, help me understand this other person's perspective. Or what do you think that they're going through? Forcing me to have more empathy, that's very human. But I can't have an AI send an email firing a person. People probably do that. I think that's shitty. So hard conversations, like I said earlier, I don't ever let it feed into negativity or bias. These things are trained off of, what we feed into it. So I don't want it getting any inkling of that, if I can help it, in terms of like what goes into my system. And lastly, anything that you can't personally verify, I already said this, it's not there for medical advice, legal stuff, um, you know, tax advice, etc. Those are places where, look, use AI to advance your business and make you more efficient in a lot of ways, so that you can contract those human experts that have empathy and that you can sue if they do something wrong, if that's the only reason why. Yeah, I have a whole thing right now on. So, who's heard of AI psychosis? Okay. Like every couple months, you'll hear about somebody who went like a little bit crazy because they were using AI like way too much. They fell in love with it, or it told them to harm someone or themselves, and they believed it, or it could, or like that it convinced them of this business idea that's just absolutely ludicrous. And so that's like the end of the road, and only like one out of like 1,000 people are going to hit that point. But I've been thinking a lot about like, what are the early warning signs, or like what are the kind of things that you could like keep an eye out for. And yeah, when you're basically like, it's like, instead of let Jesus take the wheel, it's like let Claude take the wheel. That is like one of the early warning signs. So when I see somebody like YOLO prompting, where it's like, let me just toss this in there and whatever it says back, I'm sending in the email or in my text or whatever. I have had clients come to me with like project briefs that were very clearly things they had not read, because they had people involved that weren't, it's just the two of us that are in this project that we're working on. And suddenly Calvin is in it. And I was like, who's Calvin? And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, Calvin's referenced 5 times in this doc. Do you know who Calvin is? And he's like, oh, yeah, I guess that was like a persona from my marketing. It's his marketing agent AI that's somehow now a part of our team. So yeah, that was a YOLO prompt. Let Claude take the wheel. That was just like, yeah, keep the human in the loop. Mm-hmm.
Like, whatever. AI writes it, but I review it out and hours. I'll read it 10 times. I know whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's just too many people that like AI writes it for me, and then they just send it out and don't review it. And that's where you get AI talk.
And a lot of people who get pissed off just don't say anything and they just don't do business with you again. But cool. All right. I will say there's a lot of hype around like I built a full AI agent to automate my whole thing. I don't personally subscribe to this. I think if you're using Claude Coworker and it's doing a lot of good work for you and your email, cool. That is a very constrained use case. Just the email, just the drafts, has your writing style, has the context, has the prompts, great. But the full like end to end, like I want it to prospect for me all the way to like the billing. AIs have drift. So, and they're naturally non-deterministic, means that one outcome is different from the next day. It could outcome something very different or output. So, I don't, I say you want to build a harness around it. All of the rote things that are just a script or software, that's parts of the harness. And then you isolate only the little bit that needs to be an AI into what is actually an AI. What I'm trying to say is start small. Think about things as like a crawl, walk, run. Don't dump everything into the AI and tell it to fix it, but rather like actually draw the whole process out and then identify what are the small places where something needs to read it, understand it, or write it. Those are the three markers of what an AI is good at. And everything else that doesn't need to do that is probably just software or like just the setup to like call the AI. So where do you start? I gave you a couple places like writing down your brand kit, going through the prompt that's linked at the bottom, mapping out your flow, your whole loop, and creating those automations within your social media and how you're going to post with it, your AI, your email automations, where you're going to be like what you're going to say to get your reviews. The last page, like I said, is the email inspiration. I did try to capture as best I could the industries that we have represented in this room. Y'all are hella diverse though. So if I missed you, just find me afterwards. After this, I'm probably headed to StoneCloud and I love talking about this stuff. So this is the matrix that I tend to use. I even tell it, if I have a conversation with AI about my own prioritization, I always use impact versus effort. If you haven't used this before, it's got a name. Does anyone remember the name of this? It's like a Kinsey, no, what's that? SWOT. So strengths, weaknesses, somethings, but Hightower. Let's just go with Hightower. Thank you, B. But yeah, high impact but low effort. Always start there. So if you were gonna write down the things that you could be doing, or you're gonna have a conversation with Claude, you dump into it a whole bunch of the things that could help your business. Ask it to score these things off of impact versus effort, and you might need to correct it. It might have a different expectation of the effort level or the impact level. But this is how I tend to work on things, is scoring it in that way. Start at the high impact, low effort. Yeah, and then work your way down over. Well, you can skip those, basically. Sorry. Here, there. Sweet. Just a reminder, I shared what is free tonight, AI marketing. These are all kind of like set up as pseudo courses. So while I spoke all this in a gobbledygook way of saying it, these are posted the application is called School. It's free. You'll have to put in your email. If you're like, I don't want that, I'm happy to just send you all the stuff and this recording. That's great. But the reason I chose that was it allowed me to share text files in a much easier and more organized way. And it has the slides all set up and it walks you through the prompts so you understand what you're expecting out of them. And if things change and I need to update something, it will always be freshest there. So cool. If this has been helpful for you, find me at the next chamber social. I will probably be there unless Kimmy kicks me out. And that's my contact info. You probably won't need it because I'll see you here next week. And that has been Marketing and AI. Yes.